Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So it's been a big week and lots of new product through the door. It is always exciting when the big companies release their new product. You know, we've talked a lot about the big four in golf, TaylorMade, Callaway, Titleist, Ping. This is the final test for us, the initial thoughts from the new Callaway line, the new Epic line.
Pretty interesting line, not quite what I expected in that two of them are adjustable, none of them are called Sub-Zero.
Yep.
And the one I'm holding, the Epic Speed, to be honest, is kind of Maverick-esque in the shape of it.
Very Maverick-esque.
Seems like
still got that cyclone sort of shape from last year.
So I was initially expecting an Epic year, obviously. It would be a totally different driver.
Yeah.
It kind of seems like this is an Epic year, but also some of the Maverick design has worked its way in.
Definitely. And it's been that way for a while. We had Rogue, we had Epic Flash, we had Maverick, and now we're back to an Epic line. And it just seems like gathered in is everything that's been taken. We've lost, like you said, they've lost Sub-Zero because they're no longer going for that level of spin reduction.
Right.
Sub-Zero was truly the goal to be the lowest spin driver in the marketplace. That's no longer the goal with Max LS.
The market on a whole has probably been better educated in fitting in the last couple of years. So I think people seeking that crazy low spin may seek like a lesson instead.
Yeah.
They may seek a fit that helps them change their strike point a bit more. I think the value of just the low spin is probably going down. And Callaway's seen we need to build a driver that, sure, it's low spin, but it's also super stable, forgiving, and all the other stuff.
Definitely. There's enough in these drivers to offer low spin. You know, we have actually had access to shaft adapters that can turn loft down even more should they need to, and that's available in the aftermarket. So there's lots of ways to chase that low spin should you need it. So what we're going to do today is review all three drivers. We're going to start with Epic Speed, the non-adjustable weighted driver, very neutral looking.
It's the smallest driver head I've seen in years.
Yeah.
It's smaller than my TSI, which I previously thought was the smallest driver head I'd seen.
Yeah.
This is, honestly, when TSI 4 comes out, this might be smaller than it.
Yeah.
We'll have to see when it comes in.
It'll be real close.
Tiny.
I really love the look of the new line. I
gorgeous.
think the footprint of it is really nice.
Agree.
I really gravitate towards that speed in terms of the shape. I think Max LS is, without giving too much away, it's really interesting. I think what's going on there is fascinating.
Yep.
We'll touch upon that at the end. Obviously, the ability to have 13 grams movable around the track. You've got the Max driver with the elongated back that has 17 grams of weight in the track. Obviously, different flight profiles. But let's start off with this one.
This is kind of the middle model, I guess.
This is the middle model.
Yep.
But it's not truly a neutral model, Matty.
Wouldn't call it that, no.
This is actually designed to appeal to the draw biased crowd.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
This carbon toe feature is actually designed to get this head to rotate quite comfortably.
Interesting.
So it's not a truly neutral weighted driver. You would need to go to Max LS in order to get to the most neutral driver that's out there. So they're calling this one semi-draw, and something that will have a nice little, in your case, left to right.
Yeah.
Right-handers will be moving it right to left. Handsome.
There we go.
Handsome.
That felt good too.
You can see the benefit of a shaft change.
This is why you don't review clubs with one shaft. It doesn't work.
Yes.
That's the second flight is what this driver is capable of, and to be honest, probably capable of more. We've done one thing to it, but fitting, you must.
Yeah, and this driver is obviously has no track, so the weight of the shaft that goes in there, the adjustable setup, the sleeve that goes in there. I mean, we were just chatting about this is your sleeve that's a tour sleeve. It sits flatter. And we can already see the benefit of going to that flatter from a dynamic lie angle standpoint.
Wow.
It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect for what you need. Now you're keeping the face a little bit more open. Your strike point is moved away from the toe, which is always the danger zone for you. You're flatter, more open, and with the toe, less of a toe strike, more of a heel strike. Perfect.
You basically gave me the 2-minute version of what someone's 40-minute fitting would have looked like. It would have started with a shaft and then final adjustment, tour flat sleeve, and this shaft, and the result was quite good.
Fuji 2.0 tour spec, D 0.5.
Like 5. Yeah.
5-ish?
Yeah.
D 3.1
Yeah. And it feels perfect.
With RPG.
I think D3 is turning into my favorite driver window. 2 or 3. 4 and 5 are no longer my pals for whatever reason.
And that's purely, guys, that's a little bit of raw weight. This is a slightly heavier shaft, but it's pushing that center of gravity back down the shaft in order to produce a little bit more stability. The mass of the RPG is in that tip section. That's how they really make it super, super stable. And that's really paying off for Matty right now.
Awesome.
Okay.
We'll keep the same shaft in the next one.
Let's do that. Let's jump into Max LS.
It was needed because I towed that.
A 10-degree toe-weighted driver that protects the miss. Who would have thought it?
I know.
It's what we see exactly is the recipe for you to drive it really, really well.
Necky, but good result.
Okay.
Great result.
3 bills on the fly out the neck. We'll take it. That one.
That felt good. That's a flight.
Good.
Oh, for my pleasure.
Roaster.
Little knuckle.
It's pretty low spin, this guy still.
It is. Yep. It's not a high spinning driver. I don't know if it would be as low as the Sub-Zero was last year, but it's not high.
It's nice.
That's nice.
Clean. Like that looks so neutral.
That's a good swing.
All right, guys, not quite the results that we were expecting. I think if you had sort of saw the LS perform like that, you maybe wouldn't be surprised. Then if these numbers were the Epic Speed, you might not be shocked.
Yeah.
Keeps the spin in a similar window, but launches up a little bit, nice and quick. But the real surprise to us is the way the Max performed.
Yeah.
And obviously we have the benefit of putting in, your shaft, a custom shaft, something that is really suited to your timing. We have an adjustable sleeve in there that's really working to our favour.
Is it ever? Yeah.
Looking at even the dynamic lie angle of the Max head, the supposed one that people will go to from a draw perspective, I don't look at these that way.
No.
I'm actually looking at this going, Epic Speed is the most draw bias.
Yep.
And then the Max and the LS are varying forms of forgiveness.
Yeah, it does seem to be that way.
That's what it feels like. You can be equally as neutral with the Max. You just have higher MOI in that the body is elongated. The 17-gram weight versus the 13-gram weight gives you more mass at the rear. But if you put that toe side, you've got all the forgiveness you want.
Yeah, you don't have it's not draw bias at all. It's in fact really fade bias, this driver is.
It can be. It really can be.
It seems like this might take a lot of the trade-off of low spin or very stable, because it's a big driver, it's very stable, has adjustable weight. But in that setting you started me on, where I couldn't hit the ball in the air, That's about as low spin as just about anything I've tried.
The interesting part is no one else has really seen, you know, this same result. None of the other testing. Most people with their kind of plug and play setups, whether it's a shaft that Callaway sent them, no one else found that spin profile, Matty, which is really really fascinating that this has been set up and performed entirely different. The results are what they are, and guys, you know, this is going to play out again over time. Once we get our hands on more loft format, that'll be good. 11 and sub 2000 is not really the window that we would like to see you in. So we had these all turned up for loft. We had them, you know, playing. Yeah. We had them playing 10 degrees in the speed and the Maxo LS. We had this one playing at 9.
Right.
Neutral 9.
Yeah.
Right, because that's CG's.
So that back. You know what? My mistake then. We actually did in fact have what, more loft or
1
less?
degree less with this guy.
So then the Max is actually a bit of a higher spinning driver because it had less loft to get the same numbers. So that was my mistake.
Right.
Less loft.
So if we pop that Max into the kind of +1 position,
yeah,
it finds it. My only problem with doing that with you with this driver is the CG is further back. CG further back rotates the head a little bit more.
Yeah.
You didn't love the look of adding a degree of loft to the driver because it kind of sat a little bit shut to you.
Agree.
That's why I think if we get the 10.5 heads and we either play them neutral or slight or turn down ever so slightly,
it'd be amazing.
We're going to be in a great little window for you. So.
Oh, for sure. And I think what you just described, I would expect the higher lofted version of this set open. I think it would have been around 12 and 22 launch and spin. Because this one definitely at the same loft would have a little bit more spin on it, so could be interesting.
And as time plays out, and obviously that weight I think will come in, whether Callaway offer them, I'm sure they will, but different weights.
That's
and
right.
You can start to change the amount of CG adjustment that you've got. You can, your Callaway heads are a little on the lighter side, have been.
Okay.
So you can probably up that weight, you know, maybe to a 20 or something like that, and start shifting that CG around a little bit even more.
And it would actually help the stability of it because there's more weight at the back.
Yeah, I mean, based on where this driver is at from a swing weight perspective, you could go with a 23 degrees adjustable weight at the back and still beat your D3 swing weight if you went back to your Fujikura Pro shaft.
That's right.
And then it gives you more allowance to protect against the toe strike, make it more forgiving with the weight being back.
So we'll pretty much definitely have a follow-up fitting type video where we'll find the head that we want to use and then we can start to make those adjustments.
Hopefully you learned something new about these drivers. I think I did. I had seen lots of reviews. I had read all the new tech in there. I didn't think speed would have played with as much draw bias. I didn't think Max could be neutralized as much as it was. That was my takeaways. Low spin was still very low spin. It wasn't maybe crazy sub-zero low spin, but it was you know, very manageable to keep that spin rate down. So lots of options, 3 great heads. Every one of them sounded brilliant.
Yes.
Not really much of a change between the heads, even though the head size.
Night and day different. Last year's Max, I have to say, the Maverick, it sounded bad. It was one of the worst sounding drivers. This now is not even close.
Not even close.
Not as good as obviously the standard one, but it's way closer.
Yeah. And some of the other companies with the different head sizes and changes and dimensions, the management of the acoustics is a little bit more challenging.
Agree.
Hats off to Callaway. They've done a phenomenal job with that. So if you're not going to be offended if that is the best option to go higher MOI, you're not going to have to sacrifice, and it sounds like you're clanking your way around the golf course.
It's a big deal because it would be a deal breaker for me and many others.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
guys, not many more to come. Mizuno on Monday. Bracket starting to come together. You'll see some really cool stuff. We've got some fun additions to the bracket this year. It's become a real mainstay of our testing season, and hopefully you guys enjoy it for obviously the technical value, but then it's a fun process as well, and this definitely will be the best one we've ever done. So stay tuned for that. We'll see you again soon.